Hi, it's Paul here from Interact Software. Once you've got your Odoo system, you probably had a look around and you've noticed that there's probably not everything you need in your business model. There might be a few extra features and things that you might want to add to your system. So one of the things that we do is we allow for the customization. So we create new apps or modules in the system, so you can install them and they pretty much lay on top of the Odoo version you've got. Um, so one of the things we do get asked from time to time is whether there's a way for us to be able to um, do those customizations for free. Obviously, nothing's really free in life, but one of the things that we've tried to do here is based on your priority, just decide whether we're going to do these things just on your behalf, and you'll just pay for the module once it's been released, or there might be some incentive for you if you want it more urgently to get it done quicker. So yes, you can save money, and we've got multiple ways you can save money from purchasing a larger hours plan, and also reducing your priorities. So saying, well, I don't really need it ASAP, but if it gets done within a year or so, then that's great. But that's the whole thing that I'm going to show you with this idea. So how much will it cost? Well, that will actually depend on which options you select. So we'll get into that a bit further now. So one of the things with this idea is what happens is once you've presented to us a development requirement and saying this is what I want it to do, how much is it going to cost, what's it going to take. But one of the things that we ask you to do at that stage is we ask you to say, well, how important it is to you. Is it a priority of 10? We need it ASAP. It doesn't matter. We just want to pay what we have to, but we want to get it done ASAP. So that's priority 10. So we'll get on to that as soon as we can, which is normally within a week or two, and get that development done. Now, obviously, depending on how much work is involved, that will depend on when we can get that to you. But essentially, it is them jumps the queue and it is our highest priority at number 10. So down the bottom is number 0, which is when it's not a priority for you at all. Look, it'd be nice to have, but you don't really need it, and you're not willing to put in any money into the development. And that's what priority 10's about. So let's go through an example. We'll select that we're for priority 7. Just as an idea, and we'll go through what that means for your costing and your expected date that you're going to get the app. So for the first part is that for the costing of it, in terms of the development cost of creating the app, we'll then charge you for 70% of the hours that we've worked on it. So for example, if we've worked 10 hours on a job, you'll be charged 7 of those hours, and the other 30% we'll take up as our cost. So what's the advantage of selecting one of these priorities? This is what we're going to get into now. So obviously there is a cost involved to select the 70% option, but once you have selected a 70% option, it means when the app is developed and completed that you'll be getting it for free. Now you can see here the free option is down to level 5, and then we drop off from there. Now if you had selected a level 0, obviously you then just pay the full price for the app once it's been created. Okay, so the next part of the model here is that we do offer a commission on future sales. Now that only applies to new apps, so it's if we're making a change to an existing app, then that's not applied. But if it is something that you created in the first place, then yes, we will still honor that percentage, and if it, for instance, if the app is now worth more and we increase the price, we'll increase it with you as well. So under our 70% or our 7 priority, we've got a 10% commission on future sales. So let's go for an example that we're going to sell the item for $100, sell the app for $100, then you're going to get $10 per sale. So, you know, possibly you'll recover some money depending on how good the app is and how popular it is. Will depend on what that price is. So there's a few conditions about that, but essentially that's the idea, is that if you're into that sort of between 6 and 10 priority, then we're going to give you some commission on your idea of what you've asked us to create for you. The next part is the your design controls. So sometimes this is not so important for people, but what it's saying really here is that if you've asked us to do something and you've, say for instance at level 7, we're going to give you 70% of the control. So what it means is that if we decide to go one way in terms of developing it or another, that's really up to us as far as, you know, 70%. So if for instance you're down at a 0 priority and therefore you've really got no control about how we will develop that and what the final result will be. But if you're at level 10, you've got a complete control. So if you tell us to do it one way or another, we'll just you know, jump when you ask us to jump type of thing. So that's what a level 10 priority is. So it's just giving you more design control if at a higher priority. So the next part of it it's going to talk about is the how marketable the app is. Now this is going to determine when's your expected date that you might receive the app, or when it's complete. So we've got from low to high, so from 0 to 9. And this is something we'll set when we first get the idea from you. We'll set a marketable value for it. So all this really means for you is really what's the priority of this getting done. Now, if you've selected 10 priority anyway, it's not really that relevant what we think of how marketable it is or not. We'll be getting it done ASAP. But once you get down to these lower levels, and especially if you select the priority level of 0, then it does make a big difference of when this app will be created. So for a level 7, we'll have an expected completion time, and this might be days, weeks, months, years, or just the future. So we're trying to give you an idea of when you'd expect the app to come, and depending on whether it's low, medium, or high, will depend on where it falls within this expected timeline. So let's take this example, and let's say it's a level 3, so it's sort of on the lower side. So we would say it's, you know, maybe it's 3 weeks after the approval's been done. It would be when you expect that to arrive. So it will all depend on how marketable we think it is. So you could have a priority of 7, and we could be doing it within the week because we think it's a good idea, and we think other people will be interested to buy it. So that's how we're sort of approaching this. And obviously, each of those levels, if you go up or down, will depend on what you receive for what you're paying. So that's one part of the how to reduce your costs. You could reduce your priority, and obviously, in effect, reduce the how long it might take for you to get the app. But also, you can purchase higher service packages. And those service packages, depending on which level you get or how many hours you get, will also give you a discount. So with those two things, you know, you can really be quite flexible on how you decide to how much you want to pay for it and how much it means to you. So you know, one of these things is, you know, if you do select, for instance, the free or, you know, one of the very low ones, you know, it's just really more up to us whether or when that's going to happen. If we think it's a great idea, sure, it might be done, you know, within a few months. But if it's something that we go, we don't think that's really that marketable, I don't think many people will actually use that. You know, it might sit on our list for some time. So, and that's why there's these priorities. If there's a higher percentage that you're paying for the development, then we give it more priority. So let's just go through as another example. If you did select, for instance, the 0 priority. So sure, the development cost is zero. You won't be paying anything on the actual time that it takes to make the app. You will be paying the full price for the app. So in our example, it was $100. So that's the value you're paying, which is obviously a small amount compared to the to develop an app that's customizable for yourself. There's no commission in terms of a zero priority, and you don't have any design control. So sure, you might be the one have thought of the idea, but we're the ones that are actually going to be making it and deciding on how it's actually going to work. So let's, for this example, that we say it's a priority 9. We think it's a great idea. We'll then maybe, if it's a free and we're just doing it as a free of charge development, and it might take it 3 months or so to actually do it, even though it's a high priority. That's a sort of timeline that might be. And again, it all depends on how much time the actual development takes itself. So hopefully that explains what this concept is with the priority scale. And we're open to receive any requests and ideas from yourselves. And what you can do, we've got a website here, which is a Freshdesk website, and I'll post that the address here and into the comments on this video. But once you get into here, what you'll be able to do is on the front screen you can submit a ticket, and then from here you put in your name, the subject, what it relates to in Odoo, what product it relates to, comments. You can even put attachments in if you've got screenshots you wanted to show us. And that's really the first part of making the request of what you actually are wanting us to do. So once you've done that, you select the priority here. So under this one, so priority 10, priority 0, for example, and you can put it in so that you've decided that, and that's then what your costings will be for the project. Now, if there's any extra questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know it's a bit of a unusual concept, this whole thing, but it's we hope it's a way to promote doing development and get the system, the Odoo system, working exactly the way you want it to. And depending on how urgently you want that to happen, will depend on what price you'll pay for it. All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, you can email us at odoo@interact.com.au if you're wanting any extra information. Thanks. Bye. We are an Odoo partner and have been installing ERP packages since 1983. Mainly our Australian-made package Interact software, which has a ton of great features, quite similar to Odoo. We've been helping clients personalize and install Odoo since 2020. We pride ourselves on our customer relationships and getting to know exactly what benefits their businesses. You can contact us via our website or toll-free number 1300 66 2626. We hope to hear from you soon.